Hey, welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, so we have Gabrielle with us, Gigi from
Yes.
season 26 of The Voice. I'm just so happy you're here, and it was just like such a fun chance meeting with you. Um, how we got to meet, and then I had this idea, messaged you about it, and you were like, "Yeah, let's do it." So thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I know it was you know how the world works. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who you're going to meet, and I'm super excited to be here. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can't wait to dig in. So, what I want to do today that we talked about is ask all about your experience of, how you got into singing and then what it was like to audition and be on The Voice and like what you're up to now. And then take questions from my students that are on with us. And then we get to hear you sing for us live, right?
Yes.
Like, when did you start singing? I've heard some of your interviews, you're like born singing, right?
Absolutely. I have been singing since a very, very young age. It's basically the only thing I'm good at. Just kidding. But no, I do love it, and it's my biggest passion. My first ever performance, I was in fourth grade, and I sang at the talent show, and I actually got all dolled up in this really beautiful gown, and I sang Love Story by Taylor Swift. So my idea with the outfit was kind of like Juliet, you know what I mean? So that was my first ever performance, and let me tell you, I was terrified. Like, I had to have my mom come up for the practices with me to sing on this stage. I was absolutely terrified. Um, but then it was like, once I did that and I got that little taste of it, I never stopped. And I just continued every single year. I joined the choruses. I joined choral ensemble. I was in the theater. I did everything music, anything music. I taught myself briefly guitar, piano, and ukulele. It was just always a huge passion of mine, and I always, made sure to include that in a everyday part of my life. So I love it.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool. All right. So, since you started doing stuff at a young age, um, you've had like audition experiences and like what
Absolutely.
was that like? Did it always work out where it was like boom, boom, got the lead role and you got this and that, or were there times where it was like, oh man, I could have.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had my fair share of auditions, and being in like theater and doing like musical theater, there's a lot of times where you don't get that role that you wanted,
Mm.
but a lot of times it makes sense because just because you feel that you're perfect for this, sometimes you're perfect for the other one. And you don't realize it at the moment because, oh, it's the big lead. And so I've had my fair share of little roles, but those little roles matter, you know what I mean? So absolutely, I've definitely had my fair share of auditions that I did not get what I wanted, which is okay because I'm a very big believer in what's meant to happen for you is going to happen for you. So it is what it is. And sometimes that can be hard. I've had my times where I would be really down about certain things, or why am I not good enough for this and that, but I just had to understand, like, hey, you're good enough, but maybe at that moment that just wasn't for you. So I think you just got to keep going, and like obviously like I continued and continued, and I ended up on The Voice, and I never thought in a million years that I would ever be on that show. So, and I
Oh
actually
my
have a
God.
I have a backstory on that as well. I know you have a question coming
Oh
up,
my
so
gosh. Yes, I so want to hear about that. I, and I love how you just shared about that audition, like what is, I always say if a door doesn't open, it's not your door. Like there's something
absolutely.
better for you. I know it's hard to believe sometimes, especially when you get your hopes up. You're like,
Oh yeah,
felt like everything was telling me this was my role, and then it doesn't
yeah,
work out. However, I
absolutely.
do tell people that the other thing I like to say to my students is like, Meryl Streep is not going to get the role of like Annie. Like it's not going to
Absolutely.
work out for her. It's just like not congruent. So it doesn't mean she's not the best actress like everyone says, right? It just
Right.
not something just didn't fit. Okay, so take us behind the scenes.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to start. I actually auditioned for The Voice my freshman year of high school. And I actually went through the cattle calls where you wait in line with thousands of people and you're there for hours. I remember I went with my mom, and I was underage at the time, obviously, so she had to come with me. And we were waiting. We went to Philadelphia for it, and we were waiting for so long, for 10 seconds of my life. And it was immediate no. I didn't even get past the first round. And I remember being like, wow, like that sucks. But it was fine. Like, I tried again later. And this time, so I'm going to go into it. I took the virtual route and I submitted a video. And I didn't really plan this video. This was kind of just like, I was very lucky. I didn't plan this video. I didn't say, hey, I'm going to create this for The Voice specifically. But I always had videos of me singing, playing ukulele, playing piano, playing guitar, covers, all the things. So I just chose one and I submitted it one day. And then I waited a long time, actually eventually forgot about it. And then one day I looked in my email and it said The Voice callbacks. And at first I was like, oh, this is a prank. Like, this isn't real. You know what I mean? But thank goodness I, pursued it because it was obviously real. And I was
Wow.
very shocked and I wasn't expecting that. But it was an insane thing. And then, the whole process, like there's a before process, obviously, before you get on the show and everything, which I'm not going to go into detail about, but it's pretty much self-explanatory. There's a whole audition process. And so you have to audition and audition and audition and until you make it to the part where you go to LA. So
Yeah.
that's why I always say, like, don't give up because you never know what can happen. And so let's flash forward. I get there. I'm in LA and we're getting ready for the blind auditions and I'm meeting everybody. One thing that I can say that I absolutely loved about the whole entire process was meeting everybody else because we're all there for the same reason. And I feel like a lot of people sometimes can think of the show as like a cutthroat, like we have to be against each other, and for me, for my season, it really just showed like, hey, you don't have to be cutthroat and trying to, kick somebody out to be the best because we're all here for the same thing. Why not, instead of, trying to come at each other, we all come together because, hey, guess what? I just met 50 people that I can collaborate with now. You know what I mean? 50 people who can teach me something new, so I feel like that was super important, a big part of the process. I'm very close with a lot of the cast from season 26. I love them. I've made so many incredible friends, and I wouldn't give that up for the world. But in the process of meeting everybody, hey, I still have to go audition, in said time. So I'm getting ready, preparation. I pretty much, taking care of your vocal cords is the most important part. It's the most important part for any singer. So I made sure to have my vocal steamer, lemon ginger honey tea, vocal rest, and tons and tons and tons of water. That is like so important. So I was doing all those things and, practicing and practicing and, because, and this is something that I learned, I know you like, I'm gonna pause for a second. If you want to ask any questions, just let me know because I will keep going on and on and on.
Well, you're doing great. Add into your story here how you picked your songs as you like went along. Like, how do you pick a
Yeah,
song that is like, because you've been singing for years, and then like you
yeah.
pick one, you don't get chosen, then you pick another one, you get chosen. Like, so take us through that too, but you're doing great. Keep going. I'm loving
Thanks.
it.
Yeah, so but the to get onto the show, the beforehand process, I just chose songs that I really felt were beneficial to me in the sense of myself as an artist and myself as a vocalist. I love to sing ballads, and my favorite thing to do as a singer for me personally is make people cry. I want them to feel it, not in that like bad way, but I want people to feel it. I want them to feel what I'm singing. That's like one of my superpowers, I call it. And so I chose songs that represented that aspect of my vocals and me as a person and an artist. And then so when I was selected and I went out, so Mr. Know It All was the song for my blind audition. And
Yeah.
so that song for me, it's a powerhouse, it's upbeat. I kind of tried to step out of my wheelhouse a little bit because I always do these slow, powerful, which is beautiful, but I was like, let me try to step out a little bit and do something a little more upbeat. But the message in that song is, you ain't got the right to tell me when and where to go, no right to tell me, acting like you own me lately. You know what I mean? Like all the things, like people always like have these opinions of people, and they just think whatever they think and they try to tell you what to do. That whole song for me was like you don't know a thing about me. That's the lyrics. You don't know a thing about me, and here I am. So that's kind of why I
Oh, you're
chose
giving me
that
chills. I love that. So like you so like you pick a song that just like was like empowering to
yeah,
you
yeah,
too. Not only did you
absolutely.
shine at it and like has all the big money notes, like all those big notes, you're feeling it from within.
Absolutely. And that's so important to me, I feel like, in a song and all the things. And so yeah, so when I'm practicing and practicing and practicing, and it just becomes muscle memory. And this is where I learned that practice is so important because I'm going to go to the part where, okay, blind auditions are happening. So we're backstage and there's people going before you. There's people going after you. You're waiting backstage for your chance. And it was terrifying. It was so scary. And it's very nerve wracking and all the things. And so I remember, like, okay, Gabrielle, it's your time to go. So they walk me over and I'm getting ready. And then, like, they count me down to go on stage. So I walk out and instantly I just like freeze up. I was so scared. And it was just like, because it was determining whether or not I'm going to be on this show or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and the chairs are, their backs are to you, so you're like, they're there, but then you can't see them and you don't know what's going to happen. And there is an audience, which is kind of nice because I feel like that you can feed off of energy is huge, and especially as a performer, it's a good thing to have. And so I was kind of grateful that they were there because I started to, the song starts, and it felt like it started so fast. And I start singing, and like, at first I'm like a little bit nervous, and well, I was actually nervous the whole time for this one, but the audience helped me kind of bust out of that like little barrier that I had up from the nerves, and they helped me get into it, and all the things, and we're vibing, and then I actually told myself, because I vocally did not like my performance, and it was because there was so much nerves, and they can take over, and that has never happened to me in that to that extreme before, because I had
Mm,
never experienced something so big.
okay.
And yeah, so it was very scary, but I told myself halfway, I was like, you're not going to get one. You're not getting one. It's okay. Like, I was just, calming my own nerves at that point. And then I just remember, like, I hit it was more towards the end of the song, and I hit this higher note, and I closed my eyes when I hit it. And when I opened my eyes, Reba and Snoop Dogg had turned around. And I just remember, like, jumping up and down on the stage. I was, like, crying. And it was
That's
really, really,
awesome.
it was cool. It was cool. And I didn't even notice that I had gotten a 4-chair turn, because I only had saw that they turned around, and then I was just so excited that I just forgot everything else. I finished my song, and they were talking to me, and then I looked down, and I'm like, wait, did I get a 4-chair turn? And they were like, yeah. So it was just very like nerve wracking. I could say that was the biggest thing for that one. And but getting that chair turn, the amount of joy that you felt at the same time, like that I cannot explain that feeling. It was all the feelings all in one.
Mm. Oh my gosh. All right, I have two questions about that.
Yeah.
So one is I've been in a situation, not like that, but I've been in a situation where, and I've heard you say this in another interview, where you kind of like black out, but like
Yes.
not black out,
Yes.
but like it's so much, talk about energy. It's so much energy, and there's your adrenaline and everything is like something is taking over, and it's almost like you're not there. And that was question number one. So talk about that. And then the other thing is then Michael Bublé, when they're talking to you, he starts making this weird joke, and you caught on. And I was thinking, man, I would have been so nervous. I don't know if I would have been on planet Earth enough to be like, wait, are you talking about the Titanic? So like how were like so tell me about that.
Yeah, so for the first question, that's where I was gonna go back with that muscle memory thing. Yeah,
Mm.
you're blacked out in that sense of like, just the nerves took over. I can't even explain it. It was insane the way that I was feeling, but like I was still singing the song, like, because I had practice and practice. Muscle memory, your vocal cords are a muscle. It makes sense when they say that. They don't just say it for no reason. Muscle memory is a real thing, and I think that is what took over for me, because I don't remember singing a lot of that song
That's
on that stage.
brilliant. Oh, I love that. That muscle memory. Good. All right,
Yes,
cool.
yes. So with Michael Bublé, yeah, that I don't know. So the Titanic is actually my favorite movie ever. So maybe that's why it was easier for me to catch on to what he was saying. But I don't know. I my brain was working then. It decided to
Yeah.
click back in.
I mean, I think I would have been like, so okay, there's this like there's four like mega stars
Right.
looking directly at me right now, and cameras. That's also what I wanted to ask you about, like, because eventually you have to learn, I'm gonna look here and then I'm gonna look there, right? And then does that
No,
feel, you don't?
no. So nope. That's their job. Their job is their job, and my job is to sing. That was literally kind of what it was. Like,
Oh,
yeah, like I didn't. They didn't. It was never like okay, we're gonna like look over here when you say that. It wasn't anything like that. No,
how
it was all very
fun.
real, very natural. Yeah, that's something I could absolutely say. Very, very
Woo.
natural. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then like did did someone else do hair and makeup and tell you what to wear, or were you in control or semi control?
Oh yeah, I was definitely in control. You know, especially because the show, I think that one thing that they're really big on is like, you know, who are you as an artist? Who are you? You know, so absolutely they helped for sure
Nice.
a lot because you know they did do hair and makeup, which I loved because I suck at hair and makeup. I'm not very good at it. And but yes, no, and then the wardrobe, like you can bring your own things, and you know they're gonna help style you. They're gonna help see what you love, and you know, but you absolutely have to say at the end of the day, is this me or is this not me? Yeah, it was really awesome. They were extremely helpful. The cast and team, all amazing.
That is so cool. All right, I'm gonna pause here
Yeah.
because we have some students and that are with us. So if you guys want to ask anything, just unmute yourself.
So, like, what was it like for you when you like didn't make anything? Did you like how did you feel afterwards? And then like how did you like make yourself like happy again? So,
Like in term, are you saying in terms of like any
uh-huh,
audition I've
yeah,
ever
any
had?
sort of audition, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's super important to believe in yourself because you're not going to get there without putting in the work. That's just not, it's not how it works. All the things that you need to do to get to where you need to go. So it's sometimes I did feel like, oh man, like I could have did this better or I could have did this better. And then like, honest, sometimes I didn't practice and I told, you know, I can't be upset. I didn't deserve that, you know? So sometimes it's really about looking into who you are, looking at yourself, you know, analyzing all, don't, you know, don't be biased to a situation. Don't be biased to it because it's you and because you wanted it. Sometimes you have to take a step outside of the box and, you know, put yourself in all of the other situations or, you know, examples, or see how other people may have felt, or you know, look at the other people that may have got that role that you wanted, and you know, analyze yours. You know, I think it's important to just stay true to who you are, but don't be so about yourself that you're not taking a look in other people's shoes on how they might perceive certain things. And I feel like that helps because you can literally do it over and over and over again, and it's sometimes won't change, and you sometimes just have to like I said, look in yourself, see what changes that you can make to be better for the next one, or this and that. You know, it's all about just keeping going. You can't give up. So
Good. Thank you.
of course.
All right. Um, so what was your favorite performance that you did on like during the entire season?
My favorite performance was my knockout performance where I sang Used to Be Young by Miley Cyrus. That was my ultimate favorite. I loved singing that song. That one I felt the most, you know, and it was just super, super sentimental to me. And I sang that song with every ounce of myself. So absolutely, I love that one.
Great question, guys. And I whenever honestly, that is one of the ones like when I look you up or when I'm following you and like you know, doing my scrolling, that like that whole part comes up and it's just woo, it, like sends shivers.
Thank
So
you.
so not only was it like a stellar performance, but like I feel what you just said in there. Like you felt it too, right? Like you're
Yeah.
like your voice is like soaring in the pocket, right? It's just like
Oh man, that song had all the feels. Let me tell you.
yay. right. I love it. Okay. And was there anything else you guys wanted to ask?
Hang on, one more. Out of all of the shows that you've done, like for theater and all, which one would you say is your most memorable one that you remember
Ooh,
the
that's
most?
a fun one. Okay, let me think. I I guess I would have to say, are you familiar with Into the Woods?
Yes.
So I did Into the Woods twice, and I was Rapunzel twice, and I and I loved that role so much. It was really fun. And then honestly, I have two. So that one was I only love that one probably because I did it so many times that I love Rapunzel. But then my second, like pretty much with it, would be the school. My high school did Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella, and I was one of the stepsisters, and the role just fit me so well, and it was so much fun. So those were probably my top two favorites.
Hmm, nice.
Nice. Hey, Arabella, how about you? What was your
Oh,
favorite role you've done so far?
oh boy. Uh, I would have to either go with Anastasia
Hmm.
or Matilda this year.
Oh, fun.
Because both of them I got pretty big roles in, and I really get to do a lot of fun choreography with it, and I also get to hang out with all my friends because it's after school.
Yes, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. If you guys think of anything else, just let me know. So we were gonna talk about, let's see,
Oh, here
what
comes Rodolfo. Abraham's
I have
coming in.
another
Oh,
question.
Rodolfo.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, ask Abraham. Ask away.
All right. So as you said before, your fourth grade talent show was like a big turn point. Did you have any other big turn points that led to like now?
Yes, actually. So I was working at Walmart. That was my first job when I was 16. And I was working there from about the age of 16 to 21. And so I was there for a long time. And at this, I was around the age of, I want to say 20 years old at this time. So it was like more towards the end of when I was working there. But they have their own radio. It's called Walmart Radio. And I was listening to it one day, and I was just putting some cardboard boxes in the machine in the back. I don't know. And I just heard acapella challenge contest. And I said, whoa, for Walmart? I was like, okay, like let me check this out because I love to sing. So I went and I found out all the information, and it actually had no details. It didn't say like, oh, this is gonna be for this. This is whatever. It just was a acapella challenge contest. So I auditioned for it, and all we had to do was put in a video online and tag said Walmart, whatever. And so I had auditioned all things, and then eventually I heard back, and I was selected with 11 other people from all over the states, and we were flown out to Arkansas where Walmart originated. Mind you, we still had no idea why we were going. And we get to this like beautiful, beautiful studio, and they tell us like, oh, like you guys are gonna be Walmart's first ever a cappella group. So they just wanted to make sure, I guess they flew us out, wanted to make sure that it all fit right, and everybody, and it did. And everybody was amazing, and we blended together so well. And we got to work with Deke Sharon. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with who that is. He's known as like the father of acapella, the father of acapella. Like, and he works with the Pitch Perfect movies. All the music and everything you hear in the movies, like he's the one that's behind all that. He also runs the Disney acapella group, and we also got to work with. Do you guys know the song that's like to the right, to the right, to the left with Cupid? So we did a remix, and we did the Walmart shuffle instead of the Cupid shuffle, and Cupid actually came and featured on our track. And we got to make a music video with him. We made a couple other music videos with other songs, and I ended up actually on a commercial because this is when COVID hit. We were supposed to go do more stuff with the Walmart acapella. COVID had hit, and it actually I ended up in a commercial because of it, because Walmart did a commercial with us, and we were singing "Lean on Me," and right before. It's like it was crazy. It was so many things that I just never would have expected working at Walmart. But right before I I was actually flown out to Nashville with them because we were doing a Christmas special, and we were on Good Morning America in Nashville, and we got to sing live on TV. And then we wrote some songs, some Christmas songs. I co-wrote one of the songs on our Christmas album. They're called Sparkapella. Our group is called Sparkapella. If you guys ever want to look those up, you can absolutely look them up. The songs are actually pretty good. I was very, very surprised, and everybody was so talented. And can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, everybody was so talented, and it was a really cool thing. So yeah, that's something to check out. But that was probably like, well, The Voice is now the biggest thing I've ever done, but that was the second biggest thing that I've ever done, and it was a blessing. Just blessing in disguise. So
Wow, that was a great question, and what a great answer. Woo! Things are happening. Okay, and so did we already talk about how you pick your songs? Did we go
we
into
talked about how I pitched the first one.
We did, I think.
The other ones are pretty much the same process for me. I go with the song that means something to me because I want to feel it and I want to make people feel it. So, like I said, I started with the upbeat, let me get out of my comfort zone, and then, I got on and I took it and ran with it. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go back to what I know that I'm Slayer at, and I'm gonna go do that. So I did, ballads, and actually, so the second one, Gwen picks it because it's your battle partner. So that one we can talk about. I did not know that song. My girl Frankie Torres did not know that song. We had no idea. But we learned it and we loved it, and it was a great song. And Never Tear Us Apart by NXS, but we did
Yes.
yeah, we did a Bishop Briggs version of it. And it was incredible. That was our favorite. And Frankie was actually my best friend during the blind audition. So when we had to battle each other, it was crazy. But we did such an amazing job. I was very proud of us. We were both proud of us. And, I ended up winning that. And it was so bittersweet because I didn't know if my best friend was about to go home. And she got saved by Reba. So it worked out.
Yeah, that must have been hard to go up like with your best friend, and it's like, what if she does have to go home, and how would you
Yeah.
You
handle
know what?
that?
I can't imagine that for me and one of my best friends, like Abraham over here.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary thing, and like but I think that what made it really good was that the chemistry was already there, and vocally, like, the blend was there, and we're both powerhouses, and we love to sing the high notes. And so we said, as soon as we're not giving them any choice, like, we are staying, and we did it.
You manifested it.
Yes.
You manifested it.
Yeah.
Tell us about like your practice, and especially like, okay, so specifically, how do you learn a song so quickly? Did you have like 1 week?
Yeah, so honestly, the times changed. Um, it's really hard to say how long I really did have for, the time when I was practicing. It felt all so very quickly. It all was going by so fast. And I would say weeks tops was the max. Um, it was, I'm sorry, repeat the question again.
So like learning when you have to learn a song you've never heard before,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's your tactic to do that and get it done in a week?
Yeah, so with me, so it was like kind of like nice because me and Frankie had hung out every day anyway while we were there. So, while we're hanging out, make sure we listen to it over and over and over again. We made sure as soon as we got the song, we went in, mapped it out, listened to it, mapped it out, figured out who was doing what part. And that had changed a lot too. Like, even though we would map it out and like say, okay, this is this, it would change a lot, like, as we went on. And it was hard, and it was definitely like nerve wracking. And I don't think that we're the only people that happened to, but I can say for us, we just busted our butts trying to learn it so quickly. And I think that luckily for us, the song wasn't super hard in the sense of learning it. It was very catchy, and it was up both of our alleys. So like, it was like we already liked that sound. We already liked to sing like this. So it was just about learning lyrics. But yeah, just like honestly, repeat, repeat, repeat. That was the biggest thing.
Good. Have you ever forgotten your lyrics on stage?
Oh, a million times. If you don't forget your lyrics at least a couple times, then you're perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. But I have forgotten my lyrics so many times. I actually did not do it on the show, thank goodness. But I mean, Frankie, my friend, will tell you always, I always forget the lyrics. Like it's just inevitable, and it's just so funny how it happens. But you know, we're people, and people are people always. So you know, you're always gonna make a mistake. You know what you do? Keep going.
Keep going. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And like someone also shared with me, don't make a face. Like, because a lot of times the audience doesn't know because
Yeah.
they're just like, maybe they don't know the song as well as you, and they don't know that you just sang the second verse at the first verse or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't know, or maybe you did something else, came in at the wrong
Yeah.
time. But if you're like, ooh, then
Yeah.
they know.
And I've had my fair share where I've definitely made a face. I'm really good at that. So, but you know, a lot of the times, like my thing about like my personality, I like to be goofy. So I'll just make a joke out of it, and like people
Okay,
usually
that's
laugh.
nice.
But you know, but it is something that I definitely think absolutely keep going, and like finding ways, because I absolutely try this as well. Like instead of like being like try to be funny all the time, like sometimes if it's a serious situation, like you know, or like if you don't want to like do that, then like maybe like you're singing the song and then like you forget the lyrics, but you put the microphone to the audience, so it looks like you're trying to make them sing it. So
Oh,
like,
you're brilliant. Oh, that is
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, so just come up with all these things that you can do to kind of like avoid that awkward situation.
That's a really, really smart one. I like that. I'm putting that in the tank. That's a good
Yes.
one. What is your practice routine like? So I know, the typical thing that people might think of is some breath work, some, right? Like what is that what you're doing? Or and are you doing it daily? Are you like what's your practice routine like?
Yeah, so I think vocal warm up is extremely important. Um, I cannot say that I'm not guilty of absolutely not warming up before sometimes and just going out there and doing it. Sometimes I talk a lot, so sometimes for me speaking is my vocal warm up, and that can be hurtful and helpful. So it just really depends how you're utilizing it, and that's actually something that I've been told by a vocal coach. Hey, like try not to I project a lot when I speak. I'm very loud, and so like lowering your tones and just like just being mindful of all that. Like don't be in situations where everybody's screaming talking over each other and you're also doing that, because it's not good for your vocals. So like when it comes to like a show, I think that like it's important for me. I try to like stay by myself because I will talk. I'm a talker. And I think that like drinking a lot of water, having a lot of rest, that is super important. When it going into the vocal practice, I like to run the song at least 3 or 4 times. Um, I don't have to do it for long. And then when I finally figure out, like when I map out like, hey, this is how I'm gonna sing it. Okay, cool. What parts am I really good at? What parts do I need to work on? And then literally like the parts that I need to work on, I'll sing the song through 2 full times, and then I'll go back and I'll say, hey, okay, like the part with the I'll go in there and I'll say like, oh, I don't like how that like wasn't sharp. Like I'll go over it over and over and over again until it's muscle memory, and then you kind of like get it. You know what I mean? So I think I just like practice, like I said, is super important. The muscle memory thing is super important. And then like yeah, just you make sure you drink a lot of water, rest, and all the things you need to do for your vocals because they're important.
That is so cool. What great advice. And I know we have someone else just joined us too. So
Hi.
if you have so if you have questions, we're just opening it up. So you like anyone that has questions, just unmute yourself and ask away. Was there something like so you have these really good runs you can do like you
Thank
nicely
you.
do really nice vocal runs, you've got like that belting, you've got the soft, and so were there any times where you didn't have one of those things in your pocket and then you were like, I really want that, and worked for it and practice?
Oh, absolutely. I when I was back in fourth grade, I could not sing like this at all. It comes with practice and it comes with knowledge and all the things. And so I always wanted to be a big belter. That was like something that intrigued me from an early age. And actually, like the way that I kind of like learned to belt, and I guess I guess like the breath control just kind of came with it, because I never remember practicing my breath control or anything when I was younger. But like holding high long notes was my favorite thing to do, and I would always listen to Kelly Clarkson, Demi Lovato, Christina Aguilera, like all these powerhouse voices. And I think that like growing up singing those songs all the time helped with that. Now, I couldn't always do riffs like I can now.
Oh.
um when I was younger, they would be very basic riffs, runs, all the things. And I remember Ariana Grande actually was the one that kind of put me onto that. And I remember listening to this one album. I think it was the Thank You Next album. And I love her. Let me tell you guys, I love that girl. She is vocally crazy, insane, love it.
Crazy.
And I just remember when I was working at Walmart, my shift was 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. And in the morning, nobody's there. So I would have my ear pods in, and I would have her Thank You Next album on repeat. And I would literally just sit there and sing all the riffs and all the runs for probably months. And then one day, like the more you do it, like I said, like the muscle remembers it, and then the better you get at it. And like there's still some things that I cannot do. Like I'll try and I'll just be like, oh no. And it's just like, you just gotta, sometimes you're always gonna have to learn something, about your vocals and about like what you can do. And I'm not a very, like I think I'm a soprano. Honestly, I actually don't exactly know what I am, to be completely honest. And when I was in school, I was alto 1, but I actually can't sing super low notes. You know what I mean? So I struggle with those. But I do find as the older I get, and I guess like the more I sing, there are some songs where like I'll listen back and I'll be singing and I'm like, oh wow, I can hit that note now, like, and I didn't even realize it. So it's interesting. But yeah, that's kind of that.
I love that. What a great explanation. Thank you.
Of course.
Tell us what you're doing now and how we can support you.
Yeah, so my artist name is actually Gigi. It's G.G. And so all my handles are G.G underscore music underscore. You can find, that's literally every single TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. And I kind of went with that name because I love my name. I do. But I just kind of like wanted something like easy and memorable. And, Gigi just fits me. So that's a kind of where I go with that. But yeah, absolutely. You can find me on all streaming platforms as well. I only have 2 singles released right now. My first one I released in 2023. It's called In Love. It's about my boyfriend. I love him. And then this most recent single is called Hurricane. And I just dropped it right after the show aired in September. And so, yeah, you can absolutely check those out. There's more to come. I have actually more coming up. So if you want to keep an eye out for those, that'd be great. But yeah, any support is great because, people like us that love to sing and love to, have this passion and want to do it. We need people like you guys who will support as well. And, I feel like that's what makes the world go round in the music industry, is support and collaboration and all the things. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Beautiful. So we'll follow you. I'm gonna I'll send it out also. But yeah, so we'll follow you, listen to your stuff on the streaming, because the more listens, right, then that's
Yeah,
good. That's a
absolutely.
support. Okay, definitely we can do that. Alexa raised her hand.
Yeah,
Hey.
hi. Nice to
Hi.
meet you. I was wondering, you mentioned earlier about like, practicing like every day. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering like, because if you practice but aren't doing it right, like I listen to music all the time and I'll listen to music on repeat. And I guess I'm wondering like if you do it the wrong way, how do you know if you're doing it correctly, really? Is what I'm asking, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question. So I say, if you're singing, like say you're practicing this song and you're singing and you're feeling any type of hurt, any type of like tension, any, type, like, you know what I mean? Like you will know if you'll feel it. You know what I mean? Now the way I like to describe, because if you're properly singing, that means you're using your diaphragm and you're supporting your diaphragm. What I like to describe as like when I know that I'm singing something correctly, and I didn't understand it for a long time, how to use my diaphragm. And I think I'm still learning, to this day, because it's a learned thing. And What I noticed that when I'm doing it right, I will feel like I'm about to pass out almost.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, like you'll understand, but like that breath is coming out correctly. You know, I don't, am I correct on this? I know you're a vocal coach, so tell me if I'm wrong. I've never done vocal training, but I have had people tell me, you know, while I was in theater and everything, but like that's what, when I know I'm hitting it correctly, it's like the air comes out in such a way where it's like a rush, and it like I just, but it's a good rush, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
that's how I usually know if I'm singing it correctly, and there's no like hurt, you know. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
of course.
Thank you. It's a really good question. Yeah, I would agree with you. Of course, no strain, and there are little tricks that I like to do when it does happen, because sometimes, even as much as I know the correct way to do stuff, sometimes, oh, what happened? I'm all tight and I'm doing, like, what am I doing? You know, so
Yeah.
I like to take that nice deep breath and see if that relaxes it, or I do a nice low hum,
Yeah.
see if it untangles. And if it's not, say sometimes it's nerves or something.
Yeah. And that's like another thing I would love to add too, like something that I actually learned on the show. Sometimes you need to stretch your whole entire body, like your whole entire body, stretch your whole body, all the things. And like like I know, because for me, I don't know if like any of you like to belt like super fun high notes, like, but for me, I love to do that. And something that I actually learned is like with, and you know, with the diaphragm we're talking about, um, and I actually learned this when I was going to sing my super big note for Mr. Know-It-All. And for whatever reason, like my vocals were just not doing it, and they were just like upsetting me, and I wasn't getting it. I was getting frustrated. And then I was told like, hey, try this. And all it was slightly bend over when you go to hit that note, because I don't know what it does, but it's something that happens, and it helps push it out. And it did. It helped. And so that's like something that I learned, that I think that could be, you know, something to keep in mind ever if you're maybe struggling with a note. Try leaning forward just a little bit, bending over just a little bit with that support, and you know, see if it makes a difference. It did for me.
Oh, guys, what a great tip, right? Like, that's
Life hack.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you're so right, because we have like our ribs, like, are all, everything's connected with muscle. So if you
Yes.
can stretch it and like give it more room, right? So that's a great
Yeah.
idea. If you get all tight, do some
Yeah.
body work. Body work.
Important.
Like you were talking about the pain in the throat,
Yeah.
and I have felt that multiple times before. So I know what you're talking about, but I also recently felt some pain in the rib cage area, and I'm wondering if that's also related to not singing properly or not breathing properly.
Um, Personally, I have not felt that. Do you have anything, any explanation for why that might? I personally have not felt any rib pain.
Usually, if I'm doing a really long note and it's like at the very last section of that note, it'll like kind of clench up down in the
Like
rib
you're running
area.
out of air.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the only cure to that, what I can really say would be, you need to make sure you're practicing your breath work right before that note, and you need to make sure
Yeah.
you're picking when you want to breathe, and that's going to really help you, all those things. So
Yeah,
that's my best advice.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
is
yeah.
very validating, because we often plan our breaths. You know,
Yes.
that is part of what we do in our lessons together. Like, literally break down the lyrics
Oh yeah.
and say, when this word happens, now you take a breath and get ready
Yes.
for the next
It's
one.
so
Yeah.
important. It helps. It
Oh,
helps.
so like, seems so small. It's so big. Arabella wanted to say something too.
Yeah.
So, oh, hold on. So how do you so I know that you're a soprano. So how would you how do you control when you switch from your belting voice into your head voice?
Mm.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm like trying to think of like when I do it. Um, I, Honestly, the same thing. It's all the breath. It's all about your breath. When you're pushing that like, like it's just about your breath, and it's so important, because that's what's gonna. I mean, like the belting note is easier to push out than that said falsetto. No, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I feel like the breath is going to be super important, and the timing, just like we're talking about, it's all kind of like intertwining, like the timing of everything. Like, where are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Because if you're gonna try to hold this super long belty note and then try to do squeeze a little one at the end, it's not gonna come out. It's not, unless you really like plan for it. But it's all about the timing and the breath, and all of those things are so important when it comes to all those vocal techniques. So
I love these questions, you guys. These are so cool. We can take another round of questions.
yeah, do you guys have any questions about the show? Like, do you have any other questions about the audition process? Any other shows or auditions or anything? Like, any questions? I'll take anything. I've had my fair share run around with a lot of the things in the music. So
Yeah, Alexa.
Yeah, I was wondering, I mean, because I've performed on stages not often, but when I do, I get so nervous. And I
yeah.
am wondering how you handle nerves, basically.
Yeah, honestly, like we've all been there. I don't know if you were. I don't think you were in here earlier when I was explaining about how like my first ever performance was on the fourth grade talent show. I was on the stage and I was singing "Love Story" by Taylor Swift, and I was so scared that I had to have my mom come on stage and sing the song with me. But
Actually, same though. My mom didn't come on stage, but I had a talent show and I was so nervous.
yeah, so I think that something that I try to do, and as I got older and was performing on stages, and you get better at it the more you do it, you get the more comfortable and all of those things. One thing that I can recommend, I know the clock on the wall in the back of the auditorium at your school. I know it. I know you've seen it. I know all. Try to. What I do is I try to lock and being in the song. This is something I also kind of learned on the show that Gwen Stefani kind of talked to me about the most, was staying present in the song, because I have ADHD, so like it's very easy for me to get distracted. So you get it, and it's easy to get distracted, and it's easy to like think all these things because your brain is like, oh my god, it's telling me so many things. Shut it off. Look at the back of that wall. You think of whatever moment of whatever song you're singing. You find a relatable moment and you think of that. You think of that person. You think of that thing, that object, that place. Whatever you're feeling when you sing that song, you look at the back of that blank black auditorium into the darkness and you make something of it. And that's all you think about when you're singing these lyrics. Don't focus on anybody else. You are there to sing for them. So like it's just gonna be what it is. Nerves are inevitable. It's gonna happen. I'm 26 years old now. I just auditioned for The Voice and I was the most nervous I've ever been in my life. So
Yeah,
it's never gonna
I
end. But
actually,
yeah, it's not gonna end. But I think just if you try to stay present, make something of that, focus on something else that is not your nerves, you can absolutely pull it off, even if you're still scared.
yeah, I actually auditioned for The Voice myself,
Yeah.
and I can't even put into words how nervous I was beforehand. And this was actually before my lessons with Alyssa, and I mean, I like literally had a breakdown prior to the audition, and it was
Oh,
not even a big deal. It wasn't even
yeah.
anything to stress about.
No, it's
But
okay. I don't think
yeah,
you were here earlier when I said that I had auditioned
yeah,
my
I don't
my
think
freshman year of high school too, and I didn't make it. I didn't make it. But my thing is keep going, keep trying, because sometimes, and this is the biggest thing that I learned, sometimes it's not your time. So you
Mhm.
just got to keep trying, and when it's meant for you, it's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Such a good question and a great response. Okay, one more question, Arabella.
So there is one thing that I know I've been experiencing with drama recently is that I keep running out of breath during the dances. Like,
Mm.
how do you find the perfect balance in between your doing your best dancing while also doing your very best at singing as well?
Um, I the biggest thing, and this is something that I kind of like learned from, like I've heard Beyonce's story, where she would literally run on the treadmill and sing her songs, and that's why she's able to, she practiced while doing it. So I think that the more you practice doing the dance while singing is where you're going to learn that breath control in it. It's the same thing we were talking about earlier. You're going to learn when you're supposed to breathe, when you're supposed to do that. If you have to minimize this note or this dance move in the slightest way, where it's not like super like, oh, that looks off, but like it still fits, you know what I mean? Like there's ways that you can go about things. And here's a good example too. Like, if you're singing something and you're dance, and I don't know what, it depends on the song, but like if you're singing something, sometimes you don't even have to sing the word. If it's like a certain dance part that's harder, you can kind of speak it, you know what I mean? Like it's acting too, you know, it all intertwines, acting, singing, dancing. So, you know,
Okay.
you don't have to sing the whole time, because obviously you're singing, but you're also acting and you're also dancing. So be the character. If you were that real character, you know, like they're not gonna be perfect. So I think that you know, just practice it.
Okay, yeah, because I was having a difficult time during Revolting Children, trying to like do all the things that
Yeah,
I'm
it can
supposed to
absolutely be so hard. I get it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great question too.
I
Oh,
get a cramp when I run every time I talk. I don't even sing, I'm just talking.
Same.
Literally, it's annoying. I don't even know.
Okay.
So Abraham, what's up?
All right, so it's a really tiny question, but when I like watched the show, because like I actually never watched The Voice before. Sorry, I've
No,
never
it's
watched
okay.
that. I
I've
have
it
seen
before,
your
don't worry.
audition
It's
video.
totally fine.
I've seen that before, so good. When I do watch it, is there anyone in it that's like is anyone in it like way different behind the scenes than they are on it?
Oh yeah. It's TV, it's television, and you guys on people are people. And just because it's a television show does not mean that people are going to stop being people. People will always be people, and that's just something to keep in mind for everything that you guys do, because there's not always going to be a super nice person, and there's not, you know, there's it's just inevitable. But you want to know what you focus on? Yourself, because you don't need the negativity. You don't need to be surrounded by that. Like, you don't need that getting in your head, all those things. People are people, and sometimes people aren't nice, but that's okay, because you want to know what, you can be. So that's just
I love that so much. And what a great question, Abraham. He said he did. I don't know if you heard him. He said he did watch your audition, so he did watch the video.
well, I appreciate that.
Good. And then Cameron, did you want to say something or ask something?
So I get very afraid to sing by myself. I want to know if there's a way I can overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it, so literally I didn't always have this just confidence, and it's something that you build upon. And the only way that I really think that you can kind of overcome those type feelings would be to keep doing it. You gotta step out of your comfort zone to be able to become comfortable with something else. So once you do it, and the more you do it, and the more you're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, like this is comfortable. And I feel like that's what really helps you get out there more. And like, being afraid to sing in front of people, like, yeah, I've met so many people afraid that have amazingly talented voices, and they're just like so scared to show it. And I think the best advice that I can give is, if you don't show what you have, then nobody's ever going to listen. And they can't if you don't show them. And sometimes you never know what can come of that. And that's why I think it's so important to put yourself out there. You know, keep doing it. Keep stepping out of your comfort zone. Don't be comfortable. It's so important to not be comfortable, because you never know what doors can open for you, you know?
Yeah, because I have sang in front of Alyssa, and I sang in front of my mother.
That's a start.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of other people.
That's understandable, but listen, hey, we're all human beings, and we all have embarrassed ourselves in one way or another in our lifetime, and it's inevitable. You know, you're gonna mess up, and sometimes people are gonna say mean things. You know how many mean comments I had on the show, like from the show? It's inevitable. People are miserable, and sometimes they just like to take that out on everybody else. Don't care what people think. You do what you love to do because you love to do it, not because they are thinking this and saying that or whatever. You do it because you love it. Don't care what people say.
Amen to that. Amen. Awesome.
That was beautiful. I love that. That was powerful. That was empowered. That was like confident. That's so
I
good.
live by that, literally. Like,
Yeah.
So good. All right, I saw you raised your hand, Alexa. This is a very last question. Very last question. Did you have a question for just like a minute?
oh, I mean, this is kind of random, but like, I don't even know. I know for me, it's an impossible question, but what's your favorite song?
Ooh.
Oh, it's an impossible question.
Yeah, right. I figured.
I would definitely, right now, my favorite song to sing is Never Enough from The Greatest Showman.
Oh, I love that song. That's so good.
I sang that for the talent show last year.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Awesome. Oh, you guys, these were excellent questions.
Yeah, this has been
And
great.
Gigi, you did like, wow, such great answers.
So I have one song prepared that I chose. I think that it's such a good message, and it's from our favorite girl, Kelly Clarkson. I love her. This song is like an older one to me, probably back in the early 2000s, I want to say. And I think the message is really good, and to me, it's super relatable. And if you listen to the lyrics, like some of you might be able to relate to, and it's just about, go do what you love to do. That's just my biggest message, especially when you guys have a talent, and you got to show the world, show somebody. So this is Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson. Okay. Oh, and I'm playing my ukulele. Okay, I'm gonna back up so you guys can see a little bit better. Can you hear it well? Okay. Grew up in a small town. When the rain will fall down, I just stare out my window, dreaming of what could be. If I end up happy, I would pray. Trying not to reach out, when I try to speak out, felt like no one could hear me. Wanted to belong here, something felt so wrong here, so I pray, break away. I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. Do what it takes till I touch the sky. I gotta make a wish, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Out of the darkness and through the sun, I won't forget all the ones that I love. I gotta take a risk, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Buildings with 100 floors, swinging around with forbidden doors. Maybe I don't know where they will take me, but gotta keep moving on, fly away, break away. I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. Though it's not easy to tell you goodbye, but take a wish, take a chance, make a change, break away, break away, break away. That's it.
Oh my gosh, that was glorious. Yes, that was absolutely gorgeous. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, it's been a blast. I'm so grateful to meet you guys, and like I love seeing youthful talents, and it makes me so excited because I love this passion and I love to share it, and I love that you guys are so in love with it as well and want to share it and do what you love to do. So, perks to you guys. Congratulations on everything too. Seriously.
Gabrielle, thank you so much. This is really such a treat.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It was so nice to meet you. Keep singing, please.